Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in and happy Wednesday to you. We got a loaded show for you guys tonight. As usual, I'm going to tell you what, man. We already have banked. We have banked already 4 hours of live content. We've already produced 2 hours of film study. We have had Gary Danielson on. We have had Aaron Murray on this week. And by God, it's only Wednesday. It's only halfway through the work week here on the Film Guy Network, and we are glad to be here with you. Hopefully, you're glad to be here with us tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate and review. And we have a loaded one for you. We're going to talk about a staggering stat that is in favor of the Alabama Crimson Tide headed into this weekend's matchup between them and Georgia in the SEC Championship game. We're going to talk about what's at stake on Saturday outside of just a trip to the college football playoff. We're going to play one of our favorite games around here called Guess That Dog. We got Georgia players who we believe can make the biggest impact on Saturday's football game, and we're gonna give them three things that must happen Saturday for Georgia to win this football game. Make sure you're liking, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're leaving a comment, make sure you're doing your job, okay, when it comes to supporting this channel and spreading the good news. Speaking of good news, gentlemen, hey, golf clap for yourselves, okay? We have crossed over 18,000 subscribers here on the network. And if you haven't been paying attention, that's averaging about 500 new subscribers per week, okay, over just the last couple of weeks. Even higher than that over the last couple of months since we ventured into this, new studio, new format, all that good stuff, new guests, new just branded content in general. We're glad you guys have been showing up in droves and making the efforts worth it, right? Well, I think we work as hard, if not harder, than anybody else doing this. I know we love what we do. That's a gift, but we certainly work hard at it, and the trees are bearing fruit, all right? And we are greatly thankful and extremely appreciative of that. That being said, I've got some actual football talking to do for you guys today. So I watched Alabama's defensive tape, all 22 today with the Patreon audience, okay? It was an all 22, all Patreon-only film study, okay? We gave them half an hour of Alabama's defense only. If you want to check that out, it's over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. It'll only cost you what it cost you to fill up on a pub sub today at Publix when you walk through and set through that line. So come on over and enjoy that extra content over there. But I'm going to summarize what we saw today. I talked about them yesterday defensively, and I talked about how I didn't think they were vulnerable, how they didn't necessarily have a weakness, very similar to you defensively, extremely talented, all that, And I talked about how many NFL guys. I called them a holy shit defense, right? I said every time I looked at a different player, I said, holy shit, that guy's really, really good. I do the same things when I watch Georgia on tape defensively for years now and always have for Alabama. And I thought they were this impenetrable wall and that they didn't really have any type of weaknesses. And then I studied them and studied them and studied them and watched them and watched them and watched them. And I found it. I found where they might be vulnerable, where they might not be 100% elite, where they might not be filled with NFL Sunday type football players. And it's the interior of their defensive line. They don't have a game-breaking nose tackle, a game-wrecking three technique, a game-wrecking defensive end type, a 4-eye. So much so that they had to move away from the mint front defense, right? Their nose tackle right now is a guy by the name of Tim Keenan. He's really, really thick, but he is not a nose tackle, a mint 4-2-5 nose tackle. So you have seen them morph into more of a traditional 4-2-5, like NFL standard, two typical defensive ends, a 2-eye or a shade technique, and a 3-tech, all right? They have revolted or resulted back to traditional 4-down defensive front, not playing a 4-2-5 mint that they have been playing over the last several years. And that is a testament, or rather a result and a reaction to the fact of what I'm telling you right now. They don't have a game breaker. They don't have a game changer in at that defensive tackle spot or that nose tackle spot. And I got to really thinking about it today and texted some coaches around the conference. To be honest with you, I don't know of any team in the conference right now that has one of these. And people will hear me say that and they say, Brooks, Mason Smith's incredible. I say Mason Smith had a really not bad year this year, just a really subpar year this year at LSU, as did the rest of that defense. Okay, Harold Perkins took a step back. Everyone took a step back. Certainly Mason Smith did as well. I know, coming off of a year where he was getting a knee repair and all that good stuff. I'm well aware. But he was not a game record this season, nor was anybody really in this conference. You could maybe go up to number 0 from Kentucky, big defensive tackle, but it was up and down for him as well this year. There is no Jalen Carter in this conference. There hasn't been one all year. It's not just Georgia. Honestly, when I watched him on tape today and watched it again over and over again, I came to the conclusion that Warren Brinson will be the best defensive tackle / nose tackle, interior defensive lineman in this football game, in my humble opinion, okay? Jaheim Otis may be a close second. All right, number 91 from Alabama. Outside of that, Alabama's got a bunch of really big uglies. They have an ability to reset the line of scrimmage, but they play with a bunch of what I call linear athletes on their defensive line. Guys that can get upfield or push the pocket or reset the line of scrimmage. But when it comes to their lateral agility, their lateral mobility, and their lateral ability, not really there. These are not super freaks that we've seen in years past from this defense. And that being said, I've been looking for whose game this is going to be at the running back position. When I tell you that, hey, they got a couple of guys that may be able to win or reset the line of scrimmage, but they're not great laterally, well, that would tell me that Daijun Edwards might be the running back that I'm looking for in this football game to, hey, right guard just got reset. Right guard just got pushed back in the line of scrimmage, but the left side's winning theirs or at least stalemating. So now we have this, dislodging or this different levels of defensive line or different levels of line of scrimmage play. I've shown you guys for years now that Daijun Edwards is almost ran like a Tetris player. He's been able to find all this, green grass in this really, really tight box over the years at the University of Georgia. I think it's a really, really big game for Daijun Edwards this week. I also have a concept of the day for you guys because I think there is a way that you will be able to attack this football team. I talked about it in our film study today. It took me 30 minutes. It took me 60 plays and multiple times of seeing the same formation to realize what they were doing and what it will ultimately be able to present to you offensively. Everybody ready? Let's get after it. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button for real. We got a lot of people in the chat right now. I don't see as many, thumbs up buttons. All right, what is nub? Anybody know what nub is?
Is that not when the H-back is not attached?
It does deal with the H-back. Do you have a guess?
No.
All right, the H-back's on the backside and he's naked. He's by himself.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nub. All right, we're going to take the tight end. Okay, we're going to put him on the backside, attached, doesn't really matter, but he's on the line of scrimmage, okay? We're going to have him over here by himself. We're going to put the running back to the left, all right? We're going to take the slot receiver. We're going to put him here, all right? We're going to take the Z receiver. We're going to put him right next to him. We're going to put the X on the line of scrimmage over here. Now, what has Georgia done, guys? Do you remember what Georgia does defensively this year to nub sets? Do you know what they're doing?
Don't they just put their star over it?
Correct. Good job. It's not the star at Georgia. It's Malachi Starks because he's their best cover big guy.
Yeah.
Right? So they've been putting the safety over here. What Alabama is doing is they're putting the star over here, okay? They're taking their star and they're putting him off the line of scrimmage. It's not even really like that. It's more of like with outside leverage. They'll take that star and they'll play him with outside leverage over the tight end responsible in man-to-man responsibilities with him. They'll take their free safety, they'll put him in the middle of the field, all right? Now, they'll take their strong safety, who this year has been Caleb Downs. They'll put him in the slot over the slot receiver right here in man-to-man coverage. Now, they'll take the corner that was on this boundary, whether it be JaQuincy McKinstry, a.k.a. Kool-Aid, or whether it be Terrion Arnold. They'll flip him over. They'll put him under, or over rather, the number 2 wide receiver, and the corner that's on the other side will stay there. Terrion Arnold will stay there. So now, what I'm telling you is Alabama's going to take their 3 best cover guys. They're going to stick them over your 3 wide receivers, and they're going to take their star, all right, and they're going to leave him in man-to-man coverage on the backside with Brock Bowers. My thoughts exactly. That's the first thing I said. So I see Kentucky start free releasing this guy, and I start seeing this guy playing with outside leverage, all right, and I start seeing this safety rotating over here, and I start seeing a whole bunch of grass over here for this matchup right here. That's what I'm seeing on tape. All right, so if I'm Georgia, I'm getting into nub sets right now, and I'm going to attack and force this one-on-one. Make them play to their rules, and here's what's ultimately going to happen. You ready? Ultimately, what's going to happen is eventually, Georgia will get into this nub set if they do run it, right? And they'll run some type of speed out, or they'll run some type of double move, right? And they'll beat this corner, or they'll beat this nickel. All right, and then the next time they get into it, you know what's going to happen? This safety that was rolling this way, guess where he's going to roll?
He's rolled back to the middle field.
You god dang right. He's going to roll back to 19 side. And now guess what we have? Now, not only did we have the one-on-one, 19 versus 9, with no help at all, because the safety's now worried about Brock on the other side of the field. We all got it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's where I'm hitting my explosives on Saturday. I'm figuring out how to do this. Worst case scenario, we get a PI. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, we get a PI, we get a one-on-one matchup, and then the guy, ultimately, the safety ends up drawing over here, and we really got an opportunity to work over here one-on-one versus 3. Best case scenario, you get an explosive out of it, and they never adjust, and you continue to stay in your man-to-man abilities. What you got a smile on your face for? What you got a smile on your face for? Because I know why I got a smile on my face.
I'm assuming you have a smile on your face because you figured it out.
I ain't figured it out, but I'm going to tell you right now, ain't nobody doing it like that, dog. Ain't nobody doing it like that. Ain't nobody out here digging it up like that. The last time I did find one of those, it was FIB into the boundary against TCU, and they ran that sumbitch for 3 quarters for about 45 points. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm smiling because anytime you can find a way to get a one-on-one with Brock Bowers, that's a good situation to be in.
And guarantee it based off what they've been doing and what their rules say they do.
So, I mean, are they going to stick with their rules is the question. Because obviously Brock Bowers is not like a normal tight end. Mm-hmm. You have to treat him not like a normal tight end. If you do, you're going to lose anyways.
So the only thing that I think they might break from their rules is to leave Kool-Aid or Tarian over there anyways and leave their best corner on your best weapon instead of putting their star on your best weapon.
What about having an outside linebacker bump?
Chip.
Yeah, Chip.
I mean, yeah, but that's just going to allow us to hold the football longer. If you're taking Dallas Turner and you're occupying him with the tight end before he gets a full rush on, you're rushing 3 all day. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to pick you apart offensively. The only real answer, if you're going to stick to that, is either bump into zone, which is something they don't want to do because they cover so well, or roll the safety over. That's it. You either get into man or you roll the safety over to help. That's the only 2 options. Or hope they just don't get into nub, which I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to get into nub, okay? Because there's no way they didn't see that.
Yeah.
There's no way. It took me – well –
they've definitely seen it now.
They've definitely seen it now. So shouts out. Just consider that my application. He asked me, or I asked him, hey, Coach, how do I get smarter as a football observer? Well, I don't know what you're really asking, but you just join an SEC staff. I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to do that. I think I like what I'm doing. I don't think I want to work 365 days a year, even though I kind of work 365 days a year.
I was about to say, you
kind
of already
what do you
do that
mean
now.
you don't work 365 days a year?
I think Jihad Campbell's really special, number 30 from Alabama. Let me read you a little factoid on our man Jihad. From IMG Academy, so first and foremost, you knew he was going to walk into college and be a guy, at least know how to practice for the most part, and not like a transplant to IMG Academy. I'm talking about like was cultivated there, was a product, not a one-year rental at IMG Academy like some of these guys tend to be. This was a dude that spent time there, so you knew he was going to come out clean, and he's done exactly that. He's also 6'3 plus. If you told me he was touching 6'4, I wouldn't be shocked. Extremely long arms, and not only is he 6'3 plus, 230 pounds plus, he runs a sub 4.5, and he runs, this is the most impressive thing considering his height, he runs a sub 4.2 in the 5.10.5 short shuttle. So he can go from here to 5 yards over here to 10 yards over here to 5 yards through the finish line in under 4.2 seconds. Just for general reference for you, the fastest guy on Georgia's team per my sourcing in that particular drill is a guy like Ladd McConkey, who's just under 4 seconds flat. Just kind of trying to put all that in perspective of who Jihad Campbell is. He didn't start the season as their number 1 guy or their starter at the will position, but I'm telling you right now, Jihad Campbell, in my opinion, is the best NFL prospect at the linebacker position in this football game on both sides of the football, okay? He's really, really, really good. And also on top of that, what I've seen from him over the last couple of weeks tells me he's their best pass rusher when standing up. Dallas Turner out of the equation. I'm considering him a traditional defensive end nowadays because that's what he's playing this year. That's what their defense has morphed him into. He's not a jack. He's not an outside linebacker. He's playing DN this year. Okay, so if that's what he is, we have to qualify him as a traditional hand in the ground edge rusher, which means who's your best stand-up guy? I'm going to tell you right now, from what I've seen, it's number 30. Oh, and by the way, he can cover too, and he covers a lot of ground. I think 30 is going to make some disruptive plays on Saturday. If you're a Georgia fan listening to this, you just better hope he don't turn it over when he does so. He's really fast. He's really smooth. He's going to play on Sundays for a long time. He was the guy, guys, he was the most impressive player to me. I know everyone's talking about Caleb Downs. Everyone wants to talk about Dallas Turner. Everybody wants to talk about all these other options. 30, the redshirt freshman, he's a guy, okay? They'll be able to cover you, or at least they'll try. They'll have the mindset and the game plan that they're going to be able to cover you on Saturday. And I'll ask you guys, and I'll ask the chat, what does that allow you to do as a defensive coordinator if I know that I can cover you?
Cover you in what, man?
Yeah, if I know that in general too, if I can cover you, what does that mean for me on the, as a defensive coach?
You can get after the quarterback.
Not
Bingo.
even that. It means you can add more to the box as well and stop the run.
Exactly. If I can cover you, I can pressure you. If I can cover you, I can pressure you. Okay, so you're going to get pressure on Saturdays. There's Saturday. There's no ifs, ands, or buts until you show that they can't cover you, that they need to drop into zone coverage, or you can force them into zone coverage. They're going to be bringing hats, okay? And they're going to be bringing a lot of them, 5 and 6, like legitimate blitzes. Okay, they have no bones about being a cover one football team. So if you got 3 guys on the route, they're going to have 4 guys in coverage. The other 7 are coming. All right, the other 6 are coming. One's going to stand back and be additional help. All right, but if you're going to be this, you're going to get it. You're going to get some pressure on Saturday for sure. Okay, I think they can. That not only can they cover, they're super multiple because of what they have at the safety position and the star position. 3 names. Okay, and I think 2 of them are better than the third. Caleb Downs, Malachi Moore, and Trey Amos. Okay, Trey Amos is number 9, the guy who I was telling you about that they're going to ultimately match up in nub when they get into that set for the first time, I would imagine. But all 3 football players, guys, are right around this 6-foot range, right around this 200-pound range. They're in this mold of, are they a star? Are they a cover corner? Are they a nickel defender? Oh, shit, they can play safety too. Okay, so what ultimately ends up happening is they are very, very multiple defensively. They don't just line up in the defensive backfield and say, this guy's playing here today, this guy's playing here today. They very much so rotate the matchups throughout the 4 quarters. So normally that would be a problem for young quarterbacks, but this quarterback that you guys got is really, really, really smart. I have it in the notes, so I'm going to tell you, I know Michigan's defensive stats are absurd. I know they are. This is the best unit you will play from a 1 through 15 player standpoint. This is an extremely talented unit. If you can score and score efficiently, and if you look like yourselves offensively Saturday, you'll look like yourselves offensively the rest of the year. Any thoughts on the Alabama defensive observations, boys? Questions about them? You don't have anything.
Go ahead. No, I had one. But then I looked at Christian because I thought he had one.
No, I was waiting.
Well, if you have one, go ahead and go because I just lost my train of thought.
How many people do you think, or how many do you see in the box throughout this game if you're Georgia's offense?
So baseline is going to be 6. Okay, you can get the 4 downs and the 2. Mm-hmm. I think additional hat would be the front side safety. But in extended look, so maybe 7. But historically, Alabama and Nick Saban, and this is where Kirby gets this kind of mindset from, is you want to play with light boxes. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to stop the run with light boxes. I don't know if they have the ability to do that because, like I said, they don't. Georgia doesn't have a Jordan Davis either, but Nazir Stackhouse has been good enough and serviceable enough where they feel comfortable still leaving him at that traditional nose tackle spot. When Christian Miller comes in, they feel the same way. Zion Logue, they feel like that guy can hold his own at a true 0 when asked to do so. So, it's just, yeah, they can kind of be leaned on every once in a while.
So do you think with how vulnerable they can be in an upset, do you think that might deteriorate, or not deteriorate, that's the wrong word to use, but do you think that might lessen the amount of 12 personnel maybe you see? Like, does that lessen Oscar Delp's play on Saturday?
So that's a good question, because I haven't, as much as Kentucky liked to be in 12, they didn't get into it against Alabama all that much from what I saw in the film study today. So I'm going to have to go back and check that. I'm going to have to go back and see how they respond to 12. What I would imagine they do is just play downs in the box. They do a lot of, like on 3rd and 10, they'll hop into dime. They'll play 6 DBs and put downs like in the box and like allow him to play like an additional hybrid linebacker. I said on the film study, everything that Malachi Starks allows you guys to do, they're like, in terms of how multiple you can be, how many different types of defenses you can play. That's the same thing as being multiple. How many different ways you can ask him to be impactful. They're starting to do the same thing with 2. I mean, he's all over the field. Yeah. So, like I said, it's a really, really fun defense to study as a what do you call it? Unbiased observer. Any more questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, out of all those man corners, which do you think is most susceptible to getting just burnt, flat out burnt, speed-wise?
Maybe Malachi Moore in the star position, just because top-end speed's a question there. I think that's why he came back this year, honestly.
So since they can't be so multiple, how do you as a coordinator, like me being Mike Bobo in this football game, how do you make sure that you can still manipulate matchups, even like outside of Nub? We know that one, but like outside of – yeah.
Get on the ball.
Okay.
Get on the ball early. Okay, get on the ball early, show some pre-snap motion like he always does. That's what we were talking about with Aaron the other day. He takes just the ability to add in motion, the ability to come back to looks that you've already shown your quarterback that Bobo does. Those types of things make the job of the quarterback a little bit easier because you're giving answers before the test starts. You know what I mean? The test is the play. But pre-snap, we're trying to figure out what we can study to get ready for the test. And the more things we can give him in terms of the amount of time spent at the line of scrimmage, while also, giving him some type of indication in terms of pre-snap motion or pre-snap looks, that's going to give him an ability to answer a lot of these questions. But that being said, Alabama is just as good as you are disguising things. Like they really are. I mean, as you'd expect, it's Bama. It's Bama. So you would expect that. I do want to say this. I just way too early for any types of predictions, but I've been and this is where I've kind of, after 2 days of really, really studying them on all 22, not just TV copies, but really studying the coaches' clips. Let's just call the defense a wash if it's that. Maybe I think they're slightly better than you defensively. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But they have that one statistical anomaly in that LSU game in terms of yardage and points that kind of tilted the scales that made those stats, I'm sure, a little bit worse. But offensively, you are so far and away more efficient and more consistently successful than they are. And that's where I keep coming back to in this football game. That I know for a fact both defenses will show up. I know that one offense will be comparable Saturday, okay? And be able to operate in some sort of successfulness. I don't know that about Alabama's offense. So that's where I'm at. I'm at where I trust 3 units. The 4th unit, I'm reliant on one guy's legs to just be the best thing on the field. And if that's where I'm going into a football game, I tend to lead towards the team that I know more about. And I know for a fact Georgia's offense is efficient. They're consistent, and they lack a lot of holes.
I think that is one thing about Georgia. Even earlier in the season, when the offense maybe didn't feel like it was clicking on all cylinders yet, they maybe exactly hadn't hit their groove. You were still seeing the ability and the ceiling that this offense did have with Carson Beck under center, because we were seeing the throws that he was trying to make. Maybe they weren't being delivered, maybe they weren't hitting, but the potential of this offense has always been there. Where on the flip side for Alabama, it's kind of taken them a little while to finally get into this spot. So Georgia's just kind of been consistently good on offense, even when it maybe wasn't there all the time.
I want to play a game randomly. Let's draft the defensive backs in this game. Everybody's eligible. Everybody.
Okay.
All right? I'll go first. I'm taking Malachi Starks. 1-1.
Okay.
You're up.
Give me Kamari Lassiter.
I think that's a bad choice.
I was going to go Terry and Arnold.
You're going Terry and Arnold? I'll go Kool-Aid McKinstry. So now it comes down to basically like Bullard,
that's
Malachi Moore.
That's what I'm debating between Bullard and Malachi Moore. I'll go Malachi Moore.
Yeah.
I'll go Caleb Downs.
Oh, that's so solid. That's so solid. And I'll go Malachi Moore. I think all of those guys are top 60 evals.
Yeah, those are some really good
I
football
think all
players.
those guys are top 60 evals.
Why do you think Kamar Lassiter is a bad choice?
Oh, because I think Terrion Arnold and JaQuincy McKinstry are higher in projections. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry reminds me a lot of Sauce Gardner.
What do we like? Are we drafting him for NFL for this game?
Yes,
or
for NFL purposes. I should have clarified that.
Okay, I thought you meant in this game.
No, that's why I took Malachi first. In terms of, I should have clarified. In terms of NFL value, I said it last night. I think it's maybe Kool-Aid and Tyrion, like 1A, 1B, and then Kamari. Just because Kamari's like 5'11".
Yeah.
Those other two guys are bona fide 6 foot, 6'1". So, I mean, it's close, though.
Yeah, they're definitely going to test better when it comes combine time.
Yeah. I feel like any NFL mock draft you look at right now, it's typically like the two Alabama guys go, and then Kamari's like right behind them a few picks later.
I saw one draft analyst say that Kamari's a nickel corner. It's like, you don't
No, not
just watch the
quite.
guy tackle a couple times. You need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. If you run over to Prize Picks today, if you're a new user, okay, if you have not created an account, run over to Prize Picks today, prizepicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. You'll get a 100% deposit match, meaning if you put up to $100, they will match it instantly in your account with a free $100 for you guys, a promotional $100 for you guys again. Promo code Brooks. I also want to give a quick shout out to our friends at the Athletic Collection. All the fine posters you see around this studio today can be and will be purchased over at the Athletic Collection, and that is an NIL play, okay? So if you go over there and buy some of these posters, a portion of those revenues will go directly into the pockets of those Georgia football players that you choose to support. The link is in the description to this video. How you boys? I got to take a swig. What do you got?
Are we ever going to get a helmet from them?
That's a good question. You know, I don't like to be talking bad about sponsors, but
I was really looking forward to that helmet, man.
yeah, I was too. I think Mans might have been capping, might have been doing a little capping. But you know what? We had 12,500 subscribers when he made that promise, so maybe he's working up 2 helmets now.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
He's got to increase the deal.
Yeah, no doubt. He will be. There's some staggering stats in this football game, eh, boys?
Sure are.
And surprisingly, not coming from me.
Did we ever give the stats rundown of these football teams? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
We didn't. We could save it for later if we need it. We might need it tomorrow.
Yeah, this is more historical trends than anything. Alabama has absolutely dominated their time in the Benz.
Oof.
So the Benz first started hosting college football games in 2017 was when it was built. Alabama's played in 7 games since then. They've won all 7. They've won all 7 by an average margin of victory of 17.14 points. They've scored an average of 37.71 points, and they've allowed about 20.5 points. And they've beaten teams such as Georgia, Florida, Miami, Florida State. The worst team on this list is Duke.
Yeah, I was about to say. There was one game against Duke.
Yeah, which was a 42-3 victory. But other than that, they've played very solid teams in big matchups and have absolutely dominated. So historically speaking, it doesn't bode well that way.
And Georgia's done the same except against every team except for Alabama.
Yeah.
Right?
They got smoked
Ohio
by
State.
Clemson.
Oh, when was that?
Or not Clemson, LSU.
Oh,
Wrong
that's
side.
right. 2019 SEC
Yeah.
championship game.
So Georgia's only losses in the
What's
Benz.
going on there? Why is that? How is he? Is it just a weird stat?
Well, he's also won, I believe it's 15 straight in Atlanta alone. That's including Georgia Dome.
And again, what's going on there?
I think it's a combination of, in the latter years of the 2000s, the SEC East was just so much inferior. So Alabama was just running through every time. And then, of course, you play teams like Duke and things such as that. And for the fact that up until 2 years ago, you owned Georgia wherever you played them. So
I thought he lost a SEC championship game to Florida.
he did. That was 2008. That's the last time he lost in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the start of this streaking.
Yeah, they've won 15 straight since then.
But there's got to be some reason. It's got to be some type of heat. The SEC East being down is the only good one that I have. The only reasonable one that I have. Other than it's not that he gets extra time. It's not that he gets extra preparation for these football teams or these football games.
Yeah.
Maybe he has an ability to get his football team to quote unquote handle the moment better.
Well, I think it's a combination of when your team's that much better, it helps you, and then when you're a better coach than most of the teams you play. I mean, up until 3 years ago, I think Saban had Kirby's number when it comes to coaching. Look at the Tua Tagovailoa choice. Look at the Jalen Hurts choice at halftime. So it's things like that have won him games in the margins, whereas everywhere else he's just dominated.
The chat's got the tinfoil hat on. Somebody said something about his Mercedes-Benz ownerships that he's got.
Ooh.
You know, he did buy $700 million worth of Mercedes-Benz.
You know what? That
dealership.
is interesting. I never thought about that.
We're on to you. We're on to you. Conspiracy theory. We're going for it. I like it. If Georgia loses Saturday, it's because Nick Saban bought out the Benz.
I agree.
It's no other reason.
There's no other reason. They didn't beat Georgia. They didn't deserve it.
They cheated.
Absolutely.
Collusion. Any other reasons maybe? They're just a better team?
I was going to say this, but, I mean, it definitely doesn't apply when they play Georgia, but they're close proximity to the stadium too. So, like, traveling to the stadium isn't all that bad for them.
That's a good point. Always going to travel well to that stadium for them. And you got a whole bunch of West Side Georgia folks that are Alabama fans. I don't get you people. I really don't. You folks that live west of Carrollton and you folks that live in Rome, Georgia, you go into Rome, Georgia right now. You will see more Alabama, Auburn, and Tennessee stuff than you will Georgia stuff.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh, yeah.
To this day.
No wonder Rome collapsed.
Other Rome.
Good joke.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I don't think they're anything other than the statistics.
Yeah. And interesting trend for sure.
And I think it certainly helps that you guys have beaten this team recently.
Yes.
And it's just been once. You don't have like multiple ringers on this team. You only got one. And that was a big one. And they are they are a worse football team than they were in years past, it seems like, or feels like. And you're the favorite for the first time ever in this matchup, right?
No, they were favorite both times in 2021.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they favorites in the Natty?
Yeah. -3, because that was the whole thing.
Trust the gambling, man.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Coming into the SEC championship, it was like Alabama's first time not being favored.
I remember them being favored in that one.
And then the national championship, there was such an uproar because it was how did Bama beat this team 41-24 3 weeks prior, and now they're.
I feel like Alabama was favored, but then it flipped to Georgia.
Maybe.
I feel like maybe.
All I know is
don't know.
when kickoff started, Georgia was favored in that game.
Alabama fans that live in Georgia are just disgruntled Georgia Tech fans. That's funny, man. Hey, the chat is on fire tonight. Make sure you're hitting thumbs up. Make sure you're firing off in that live chat. We appreciate you for being here. If you don't have the ability to catch us live, we are available on your podcast feeds. However, wherever you get your podcasts, we upload those every single night right after the show. So they are on there and available. If you listen to us and don't watch us, if you're listening to me right now, head over to YouTube. Make sure you're subscribing to the network. We just went over 18,000 subscribers, so super happy about that. Super proud about that. Aiming for I don't know what, but I think that at least 500 subscribers a week. If we could hold that for eternity, I'll be happy.
No kidding.
If we can hold that for eternity, we'll be good. I will never ask for any more support if you do that right there. If you just manage to get us 500 new subscribers every week. No, so glad you guys are here. Hey, a lot at stake Saturday. Okay, not just an SEC championship game, not just bragging rights, not just a chance to go to the college football playoff or a guaranteed chance to go to the college football playoff. But there's a bunch of other stuff at stake. What do you guys got? Because I got a pretty good one that's already surfaced. It's already surfaced, and the game ain't even come down to the finalities yet. But someone's already stoked the corner, stamped the take. I'm already getting the corner. You know who it is? And I can't believe he's not having a job right now because Mans is out here delivering some of the best takes of his sports take-giving career. You know who it is?
David Pollock.
It's David Pollock. David Pollock came out today and already went with the take that every national analyst, like who's some hot take artists out there? Brandon Walker, Colin Cowherd, all these jokers, Nick Wright, Stephen A. Smith, all these dudes, Emmanuel Acho, all these dudes that get paid millions of dollars to just say some dumb shit. They gonna be out here doing it. The moment Georgia beats Alabama on Saturday, every single national analyst and their mama is going to rush to the microphone to say that Kirby has surmounted Nick Saban as the greatest coach in college football. Now, here's the problem for all of those people. David Pollock has planted his flag on that sumbitch for 8 months now. He did it right in front of Nick Saban's face during the college football national championship, and he did it again on our friend Aaron Murray's show, The Snaps. So what a tremendous job by David Pollock of just this is mine. You talk about peeing on a fire hydrant. That's it right there. He marked some territory this weekend.
For sure.
Yeah, that's not an easy one to go and claim either. That's kind of sticking.
He said he's got proof. Said he's got proof.
Yeah, him doing it, though, in front of Nick Saban on the stage was definitely cold-blooded. I love that moment.
That was hard.
The one I was going to bring up is the fact that I think it would still require you to go on and win the national championship after this and maybe another award for him to win. But there's a chance for Brock Bowers to be the most decorated college football player ever. If you think about the 3-year career that he would have at Georgia, if they go on and win the SEC title and then they go on into the playoff and win another national title, maybe he wins the Mackey Award for the first time ever in back-to-back years. Like, that's 2 SEC titles, 3 national championships, and he would have lost 1 game in his college career. That's pretty insane stuff.
The one loss
game
was arguably his best performance of all
Oh,
of those.
yeah. It's the only game they've ever force-fed him.
Yeah. Other than Auburn.
I hope we get to see one of those in a game, like the game that they're winning.
Yeah.
You know, that would be cool to get Brock Bowers because Marvin Harrison has all kinds of these opportunities where he gets 20 targets in a singular football game. I would love to watch Brock Bowers get 15 targets in a single football game. That would be epic. He'd go for about 210.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple tutties. You got anything?
Yeah, so we know the notion around this game prior to 2022 was Saban owns Kirby, Georgia just can't beat Bama, all that stuff. It changed in 2021, obviously, and Georgia has since then kind of claimed their spot as the top team in college football. But they haven't played Bama during that time, and Bama fans have kind of held on to it. They've also held on to the fact that, Jamison Williams, John Mechie both get hurt. If that doesn't happen, Georgia doesn't win. So they've undermined Georgia's success along the way. So if you win in this game, you pretty much silence all of that. You cement yourself as a top team in college football. You pretty much shut up everyone who says, hey, what you're doing right now is only because you haven't been playing us, you haven't seen us. So that's what's at stake for Georgia.
And if you don't?
And if you don't, I mean, Alabama gets to say, look what happens now. You got us once because Jamison Williams got hurt. You got lucky one time. Saban still owns you. Kirby Smart's still little brother. Georgia's all this, yada, yada, yada. So that's what's at stake here, in my opinion.
I've always hated the so-and-so's hurt, things.
Yeah.
Because, it's football.
Right.
Like, this is a war of attrition if more than anything else in the sport of football, man. Look on NFL Sundays, man. Go look at how banged up football teams are that don't make the playoffs. Go look at how healthy and how lucky in terms of health that Super Bowl champions get. Okay, very rarely do you have somebody who's got an injury report that's littered that makes it to the end of January. Like, it's not the way this sport works, man. The war of attrition is a real thing, and you have to be able to make it through these football games safe, healthy, and alive, and perfect at this point now. Next year, this seems to be the case.
Next year,
it's no longer the case. I would imagine in a couple of years we see a lot more of what Kirby did Saturday night.
I was going to bring that up.
We see a lot more of what Kirby did Saturday night.
Absolutely. I mean, we that was one of the main things where you're taking away the meaning of college football regular season games. And everyone, oh, no, you're not. That's not true. You're not doing it. Kirby Smart effectively sat 3 of his best players against the in-state rival, what many would say is the biggest week of college football. Now, granted, Georgia Tech is an inferior team, but still.
I'm here to tell you that if he didn't like the narrative about that coming out, that I don't think the college football committee chairman would be out here using it as the first bullet point when talking about Georgia, of talking about only beating Tech by 8, and then Boo Kerrigan following it up with, but they set 3 of their offensive starters.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't, again, not saying that the man did anything wrong, I'm just saying that he DNP'd coaching decision. Like, I haven't seen it. Haven't seen it in college football. Maybe it's happening in other schools. We just don't pay attention to them that closely.
Right.
But I haven't seen something like that.
I'm sure there's definitely been moments where, like, hey, this guy's injury is still kind of nagging. We don't know if he can go this week, so we're going to sit him. But it is kind of fishy to see happen in the last week before you play your biggest game of the season.
Anything else? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it definitely will amplify those games, those lesser games in the future. Like, when Georgia has to go play Texas early on in the season next year, and then they have, say, Vanderbilt and I don't know, another team in the middle of having to play Alabama later, you'll probably see more of those DMPs maybe a little bit in those games that you typically don't, like in the middle of a season, as opposed to like late in the season when your injury report is already banged up more than it typically is.
Yeah, the term load management is going to become very, very
crazy.
very common amongst college football fans.
You mentioned that game in Austin. I'm going to go ahead and give the fans and the listeners of this show a little nugget here. Next year during that game, I think it's in October.
Yeah.
During that weekend in October, F1, okay, the Formula One racing car stuff, it's coming to Austin. So you better go ahead and get flights, and you better go ahead and get hotels, and you better go ahead and get all that because that's one of the world's biggest sports, and that thing buys out every hotel in the area very quickly. Don't worry, I already got ours. I don't know if y'all are going to get credentials, but I got a room for the both of you. So we're good.
Shoot, I might just go to hang out in Austin, to be honest.
Hey, you ain't lying there, brother. That is no cap, sir. Yeah, Austin was one of them, man. Austin's one of them cities right there. So yeah, shouts out to Austin and shouts out to you guys for being there. Do we want to play Guess That Dog?
I would love to.
Let's do it.
I want to go first. Okay. This dog is an out-of-state prospect.
Okay.
This dog is a multi-year starter.
Okay.
This dog was the number 1 overall prospect at his position. This dog was all SEC last year. You want me to stop? Any guesses?
No, keep going.
Smile London?
No. I said offensive side of the football, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
No, you did not.
Okay, offensive side of the football. This dog won the leadership award his senior year of high school for the entire state.
Ooh.
Cedric Van Pran?
Yeah, Cedric Van Pran. I was going to say.
Cedric Van Pran. You had one little nugget left. He will make his 43rd career start this weekend. Consecutive.
The leadership.
Consecutive.
That's insane.
It's nuts.
The leadership was what tipped it off for me.
Yeah.
I had to think, is he not from Georgia, though? Real
Yeah,
quick.
he's from Louisiana. New Orleans. Warren Easton.
Yep.
Very big. By the way, I kind of we don't have enough time. One of these days, I want to go back and watch his highlight film. It's like The Blind Side. It really is. It's like watching Michael Orr dump people onto the bus. Okay, in one clip, I dead ass think I remember him getting a personal foul for excessive blocking. No kidding. Like it looked just like watching the reincarnation of The Blind Side. You got one for us?
Yeah, I got one for you.
Hey, good job, by the way. Good job.
Thank you. All right. This player is from Alabama.
Yeah.
This player is a starter. This player has been with the team since 2019.
Marcus Osemi Jack Saint.
No.
Hold on. Since when?
This player has been with the team since 2019. Want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
This player was all SEC second team in 2022.
From Alabama? Kamari Lassiter.
Nope.
It's not Javon. Is he offense or defense?
I feel like if I say it's going to give it away.
Really?
I don't know.
I
I don't know if any,
I
hold
can't-
on. I don't know of any Alabama players from the offensive side of the football.
I can't think of one. Second team, all SEC.
You're going to get mad when I tell you.
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna get really mad.
I
Second team
figured
all
you would get it.
Second team All SEC from Alabama. You have any more hints?
Yeah, his initials are WM.
WM?
Is it a fucking kicker?
No.
William Moat.
Yes.
Let's go!
I hate you. That is such a cop out.
I knew it was leading
William
down a rabbit
Moat.
hole. Hey, solid long snapper though.
Yeah, but does not have an arm on him. I feel so bad for Moat in pregame every time. Brett Thorson damn near throws his arm out every single pregame. Brett Thorson, notorious chooch on that kid. Brett Thorson's got like a 55-yard arm.
Really?
Yes, easily. Like easy juice. Can flick 155 yards. Not like crow hop, throw it as hard as you can. I'm talking about a natural chooch on Brett Thorson.
I think you need a different.
chooch.
You need a different word, bro.
Nah, dude, chooch is a known word for a
chooch?
hand cannon. Yeah, chooch. The guy's got a chooch.
Hand cannon.
Hand cannon. A howitzer.
All right, howitzer's fine. Where you come up
A
with
rocket. Whatever y'all want to talk about. A chooch, man. Guy's got a chooch. You never heard of that?
No.
No one's ever heard of that.
I bet you somebody in the chat's heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
All right, well.
But nah, yeah, Brett Thorson got a hand cannon on him. William Moat going to have shoulder surgery when he's done. So,
Poor guy.
any more guess that? We're done with guess that dogs, right?
That's all
right.
I had.
Some real analysis. Let's get into Georgia football players who can make the biggest impact on Saturday. I got one off the rip. Caden Proctor, he's gotten better. He's gotten better at handling the speed rush at the left tackle position from Alabama, but I still think it is a big-time a big-time problem area for them with regards to handling speed rushes, okay? So I'm looking for Jalen Walker and Damon Wilson to have huge impacts on this football game on third and mediums, third and longs, even second and longs when I know that Alabama is going to be a chunk play offense, okay? Because, again, no fear of living in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12.
Yep.
So that's two names for me off rip in one position, which is, situational pass rushers, which, by the way, it's kind of what Jalen Walker has resulted into, and that's fine because he's really, really good at it. But they've kind of this past week was the first week in several weeks they've actually given him reps at inside linebacker. So there's that.
First one I have is Dylan Bell, because I think players like Dylan Bell can always have a huge impact in games like this because he is so versatile, and he has developed his game. I shouldn't say developed his game, but he's become a much more impactful player with the last few weeks. And especially when you just talked about their defensive backroom and how they can be very versatile, I think with someone like Dylan Bell, you can be very versatile with him as well, and where you place him in your offensive schemes and you can really work your way with him and find some holes in their defense.
What are you reading? The people
Yeah,
out there?
apparently the chat doesn't know what a chooch is, but maybe they haven't been in enough
They'll
football
catch
rooms
on.
like me. What do you got?
All right, so I got Aaron Smith. I think, like you said,
You gonna hop on it with me?
Bama likes running man coverage. There's going to be a lot of cover one safeties over there. I think at some point in this game they're going to start leaning towards Brock Bowers' way just because Brock's going to win one-on-ones. That's when you go to Aaron Smith to just blitz past a deep guy. He's done it before. He's done it in big moments. He did it last year in the Peach Bowl. So I think this is really going to be his game where he makes an impact.
So we're all on 3 different receivers. You're on Dylan, you're on Arian, and I'm on Dom Lovett. I think Dom Lovett needs to have a big game Saturday and needs to have a major impact because it's going to be somebody. It's going to be somebody away from 19, okay? And in years past, that's always been 84. If 84 plays Saturday, he's going to be at 90% at best, okay, in my opinion.
Right.
That's where we're at. And that's how ankle injuries track, by the way. He tried against Tennessee. We showed you on film. He looked very, very unstable and kind of wobbly and in pain. Okay. Last week, didn't dress. This week should be. I would imagine if you told me he was 65, 70% against Tennessee, I would tell you that's accurate. Last week, probably would have played at 80 to 85%. This week, probably going to play at 90 to 95, ideally, right? But he's a skill player. So 5% is it's different than 5% at the offensive line. I think it's why you've seen them be a little bit more cautious. But when they, when they go to double team Brock Bowers or high-low Brock Bowers and they put 2 guys over there, can Dominic Lovett win his ultimate one-on-one?
Ladd McConkey was kind of in the similar stage of an injury going in the national championship game last year, was he not?
Yeah, but that was more of a banged-up knee that was giving
Yeah, that
him
was
problems all year.
his knee, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and I think he ended up having fluid taken out of that knee during the offseason. So
Did he ever get surgery on it?
I don't know. I think that might as well be surgery nowadays. And even if they had surgery, it's always microscopic. I think Georgia does a tremendous job of going in and repairing anything that might cause future damage, even if it directly impacts our immediate access to that player's talents.
I'll throw these 2 guys in together just kind of because they kind of play off one another. But Dalen Everett is the first one just because a person that can have a big impact, like if Dalen Everett goes out and plays his best game of his career, that is going to be a major impact on this football game. And then right along with him, Javon Bullard, he can have a huge impact on this football game because if Bama does want to be explosive like they tend to be on offense, they're probably going to be taking shots kind of towards Bullard's side of the field, and he has an opportunity to make some big plays on the football and really be a game wrecker on Saturday.
I've got Tyke Smith being a big player
Because
That's a good one.
Downfield shots, he's going to have to be there for that because they're going to eventually try to isolate him man on man.
Yeah,
It's also going to be
Bond, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's also going to be crucial that he sets the edge. He's gotten some criticisms before that. He's too slow. He can't set the edge. I don't think it's that, but I do think he needs to take right angles, especially on a guy like Jalen.
Can't jump
Miller.
inside.
No,
He jumped
absolutely
inside
not.
twice on Saturday, and it cost him 15-yard explosive.
Yeah, so I think how he plays is going to be very. It's going to determine how Georgia does against this Alabama rushing attack.
You mentioned earlier they're going to add some hats into the box, right? If you can cover, you can pressure. That means there's going to be free hitters on Saturday. Okay, I think Deshaun Edwards has to have a big game. Same thing, Kendall as well. But at this point, it's not going to be there's a wide open gaping hole. All right, the running back's going to have to take care of his job on Saturday, and his job is to take care of the first free defender. And Saturday, it's going to be a lot closer to the line of scrimmage than probably you're usually accustomed to because, again, this team believes that they can cover you. I have one more, and this one's kind of a negative.
I've got one more, too.
Let's stay with the positives then. You got a guy that can positively impact this game?
Yeah, Warren Brinson, I think, can make a huge impact on that interior defensive line. I mean, there's really, like you said, there isn't the game record defensive lineman that you have on teams in the SEC this year, but he can certainly make those big plays. He can create havoc. He can flush Jalen Milroe and kind of force him in uncomfortable situations, I think.
You got any know him?
No, I got three. That was my three. I gave.
All
him.
right, I got a negative one. And I don't know it. Here's the good news. Georgia is not one of these football programs or football coaching staffs that allows this type of thing to cost them a football game, but it might cost you a play or two. It might cost you a swing, momentum play. And it is Xavier Truss at guard, assuming Tate Ratledge is not 100%. Either way, he's going to get rotated in and out on Saturday, I would imagine. Okay, like they have been doing all year. Now, when Tate was 100% healthy and they had 3 NFL offensive guards rotating, Tate Ratledge, Micah Morris, Dylan Fairchild, everything was copacetic. The rotations were fine. In fact, they were dominant. They were fresh. But what we've shown you on tape all year is that 73 really struggles with his anchor when he gets into the guards, in the interior of the offensive line. What does that mean? He struggles to believe that he can hold his feet in the ground without playing out over his toes. All right, he plays way too far over his toes, way too extended is what we call that. And he ultimately ends up on his face or falling off of blocks, gets ripped down in pass protection, things like this that don't happen to him at the tackle position that ultimately happen to him at the guard position. All that being said, this is the worst matchup for that type of issues to be having at the guard spot. So at some point on Saturday night, Georgia's going to have to make the decision to play the younger and more talented football player at the guard spot, in my opinion, or else it can seriously negatively impact this football game. No comments.
I think this reminds me of the last time that they played Alabama, where it was like first couple series went and it was Warren Erickson, and then all of a sudden Broderick Jones is out there at left tackle, and they bumped in Jamari Sawyer. So I think that's a great point that you made. They don't let they don't let it beat them. They don't let them lose the game because they are usually pretty quick to fix that issue if they do think it's going to be an issue moving down or moving forward in the football game.
All right, let's give them 3. We'll start with you guys. Actually, Kirby, we'll start with you. Give me 3 things. 3 things that must happen on Saturday for Georgia to win this football game.
You got to force Jalen Milroe to make hard throws, not easy layups where it's just he can throw the ball up to a wide open Jermaine Burton. You have to force tight windows, things such as that, where he has to make
it hard.
Make it hard and tight.
No. Yes. All right, next one. You got to win. We got to win in the running game. If you outrush Bama, I don't know what the streak is, but I feel like the team that outrushes their opponent in this game usually wins. I mean, most of the time at least.
Can I do something to that stat? Isn't that normally the case in football?
For the most
because
part,
the team
yes.
winning the game is running the clock out.
Unless you're just playing a football team that is pound and ground heavy the entire time.
Unless you're playing Army
or
Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Win the run game and win explosive plays. This is an offense in Alabama that lives and dies off of making explosive plays. If you beat Alabama at their own game, you really take the power out of their punch. So.
I was so confident in going last because I think I got 3 that none of y'all are going to pick. Hey, Christian Kirby.
Mine were pretty surface level. So.
Hey, Christian Kirby, give him 3. What do you got for me, J. Will?
Got to capitalize on 3rd and longs because Alabama does get themselves in these situations. But and more specifically, it's not just about getting them off the field, but if you're getting them to the 3rd and long, that means you have already won that possession. Those 2 plays, you have won that possession. So you cannot give Alabama a scapegoat and let them keep marching down the field and let them pick up a first down in 3rd and long situations. You have got to capitalize on those opportunities. You have to avoid the one bad quarter in this football game. That's something that has bit Georgia in the butt against Alabama at times. Is they play great even most of the time. They go into halftime with the lead, and they go into the 3rd quarter or something bad happens. They have one bad quarter, and that's what lets this game slip away sometimes. So you got to avoid that. Avoid the disastrous quarter. You can have one bad play, one bad possession, but you can't do it for an entire quarter on both sides of the football. And the last one, you got to win the field position battle. You gotta be able to flip the field. You gotta be able to pin them back more than they pin you back. And if you can do that, if you can win that field position battle, that puts you in a better position to hit your explosives. And on the flip side as well, if they're in a better field position, that's what they're gonna look to do.
How do you usually win the field position battle? What unit does that?
Special teams.
Hey, I've actually got a fun – I know you're being a little shithead. I actually have a fun little fact about Georgia's special teams. You know they haven't allowed a single punt return yardage all year?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not a single yard. Kirby was asked
how many
about
kick
it.
return yards? I feel like it's not a lot for those
Very
either.
few.
Very few.
little. That's by design, too. The only returns they allow are sky kicks. They're trying to get the coverage
Trying to
into
get
some
you
reps.
to do it.
Yeah, they're trying to gain 3 yards, literally. They're trying to tackle you at the 22 instead of giving you the ball at the 25. That's how freaking psycho that guy is. He's out here playing around with his special teams unit to gain a 3-yard advantage. What were we talking about?
You were going to give us a fact about.
Oh, the punt yardage. They haven't allowed it any. Brett Thorson got tremendous amount of hang time, but also because guys like Arian Smith and our guy Cash Jones are out there covering punts really, really well.
How about the Gunners, baby?
Yeah, how about them Gunners? All right, I got 3 things for you. I also think it's the first time in show history that the person who went last didn't have any stolen from him. So how about that? Did we give you 3?
No.
Jay Will, give him 3. All right, I got number 1 right here. I'm surprised no one said get Milroe on the ground. You know, I'm surprised.
I felt like that was
didn't
so
happen.
obvious.
I
Yeah,
did
I
too.
feel like that was a give.
And that's so much so that I put it in here. If you don't get him on the ground, you'd better win in the red zone. Because in my opinion, if you can't get him on the ground, they're going to move the ball. All right, so they're going to get cracks at it in the red zone. And if you can't keep him contained, if his legs become a factor in this football game, they're going to get cracks at it. And you better win when they get in there, all right, because it's going to turn into a red zone efficiency football game because that's the way it's going to be. And if you can't get them on the ground, I'm telling you right now, they're going to score points Saturday or at least have the opportunity to do so. So the only way you're going to avoid a shootout in that case is, again, to win in the red zone. I think the other thing is, I already told you, they think they can cover, but they think they can cover, they think they can pressure. If they're going to pressure you, you have got to keep 15 clean, okay? Because with the way that they have an ability to cover, you would imagine that you're not going to be open immediately, all right? So if you're not going to be open immediately, we're going to have to provide 15 sometime. And the last, and I think it's the most important key to victory in this football game for the University of Georgia in particular, you cannot make the last mistake in this football game. You cannot. All right, in the last several times these 2 football teams have played, the last big mistake has cost the football game for the loser. It was Keely Ringo's pick 6 in the national championship. It was Stetson Bennett's pick 6 in the SEC championship game, 2nd and 26 in overtime, obviously, and the Malcolm Mitchell play where you just have a brain fart or whatever it was in the SEC championship game. Where you don't
when
clock
Chris
the ball.
Conley caught the
Chris
tip ball.
Conley, whatever it is. You cannot make the last mistake in this football game. The last big mistake cannot be made by you. The first one doesn't lose these football games, okay? It's always the last one. And it's the last one that might happen in the third quarter. Whatever the last big momentum play is, you can't afford to make it.
Yeah, I'd say that the big momentum play in 2012 was Amari Cooper's big touchdown.
Correct. Hey, give him 3.
Love it.
We got anything we didn't hit this week? Oh, the stats, because we got a loaded show right now. There's a lot of people watching, and I want to make sure we hit on everything possible right now and maximize this thing. Do y'all have any more questions, general comments, concerns, takes about this football game? Before I know we got predictions tomorrow. We'll do the stats by the numbers tomorrow, or should we just go ahead and tease these folks with a good MBR and send them on their way? Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hey, there's a bunch of y'all watching right now, and we have a whole nother hour of national college football content coming up right now. So not only hit that thumbs up button on your way out, not only subscribe to this channel, but please give us an opportunity to be your home for national college football conversation coming up in just a matter of minutes. Love you. We'll see you in a second.